Live from the studio of his parents' basement, the Have You Seen It podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Kraus. But before we begin, if you guys could please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. So with all that said, Cash, what are we here reviewing this fine day?
Oh, Mason, it's been a long time. It's the movie everyone's been waiting for us to review.
Absolutely.
Dune 1984.
Oh, well,
not the shitty 2021 version.
No.
1984, the true retelling of the Dune series, of course, canon.
Right. Yeah. Well, some would debate that, but
yeah, well, it is Dune weekend, of course.
It is, of course.
And we will be doing the new Dune, I guess. That's a piece of shit. But yeah.
2 hours and 40 minutes I'll never get back.
Oh, God. And I tried to get my money back.
Yeah,
Trust me. And they
you
did
went
not allow
right
it.
up to the ticket booth. They said, sir, that you watched the full film.
I said I thought this was Dune 1984, directed by David Lynch. Something, my wires got crossed.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm going to need my money back, yeah. Because spice ain't cheap to buy, Mason.
No.
And you know I'm on that spice kick lately.
Of course.
It makes me see all kinds of crazy shit.
Well, I think that's the idea behind spice. Yeah. I think that's why it's such a hot commodity.
It is. Well, it's the hottest commodity in the universe.
It is.
Yes.
Interstellar time travel or whatever.
Oh, it does
space
everything. Travel. It's oil. It's gasoline. It's crack cocaine. Rub it on your balls, makes your dick grow. You can do anything with it.
There's not too many drugs that can turn your eyes bright blue.
No, and not your irises, but the white part of your
eyes. Are blue.
Yeah, which is very odd. But yeah, it's Dune 2021. Dune has came out, so we thought we'd go back before we do that one to really cleanse the palate.
Oh, for sure.
And do this Dune.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say we're huge Dune buffs. I could not wait for the new 2021 Dune. It was my most anticipated. But I've read the books, and it's very odd watching the new one, which is pretty faithful to the books, and watching this David Lynch version, which is almost like a parody of the Dune books. They are not faithful.
Well, there, of course, are a lot of problems with the 1984 version of Dune. However, I my hat's off to them as far as the practical effects, as far as how they made the worms look. I mean, keep in mind, this was, almost 40 years ago now. Yeah. And the way the worms moved, the way the worms came out from the sand, I thought looked really good, considering the time.
Yeah, it was 1984, man. That was the golden age of practical effects.
Yes, it was.
So,
I mean, Star Wars kind of did the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it came out in 79. And funny enough, David Lynch was offered to direct Star Wars New Hope, turned it down to do Dune.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fun.
Not fun for him, probably.
Yeah, I was going to say, in hindsight, he probably would have went with Star Wars. But
just imagine what David Lynch's Star Wars would have been. It would have been a much different.
If George Lucas would have let him.
Yeah, George Lucas wanted him.
Yeah,
but he turned it down and said, "George, that's your thing, and you can't really get David Lynch to do anything he doesn't want to do." So,
very true.
And I love David Lynch, but this is his least Lynchian film by far, and he fucking hates this movie. Yeah, he refuses. They've asked him to do like special editions, DVDs and stuff, and he stayed out. No. He said, "I don't." He literally said it'd be too traumatic to go back. I guess the production was just fucking horrible. No one knew what was going on. And like you said, the best part of these films for sure are the practical effects and the costumes. The costumes seem pretty true to the book.
Yeah.
But besides that, there's not a lot of. I mean, there's very loose connections to the book.
I do want to talk about the special effects. Because holy shit.
Early CGI.
Yes, early CGI. And not good. Not good at all.
You're talking about the shields.
The shields.
They make them look like Minecraft characters.
It really does. It's like, whoa. And then they'll like deactivate the shield and they're like, you almost had it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Did you? Yeah,
I couldn't tell a fucking single thing that was going on the whole time.
That I know, and you can even tell like the actors have no fucking clue like what this scene's gonna look like after it's shot. So they're like, you can see they're kind of lost doing it. But
oh yeah,
but those shields, man, it's yeah. That's when I was watching it. And I was like, oh fuck, this is not a good movie. No, this is by any stretch. I've seen this movie a few times, and I did like it when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. But every time I watch it, I try to find something redeeming about it, and I struggle to find anything besides the sandworms and stuff. Yeah. Not even that, but he's cramming the entire book into one movie.
Into one film, which...
There's so much
that was the
gotta
problem.
Burn through.
Yeah, that was the problem that I had with that film, especially after listening to the book on Audible and whatnot, is that they did. Which, you know, that might not necessarily be his fault. Maybe they said only in one movie, so he had to cram everything together. But there's a lot of information that just wasn't made available in the film at all.
Well, and the information that is given is being told and not shown all the time. There's so little action in this film.
There is.
I mean, and that's not how the books are. The books have action in them, a ton of action. But this movie is like there's so much to explain that they did not have time to do the action scenes. They just had to spend 90% explaining what's going on. And it does not work out for a good movie.
A lot of inner monologues.
So much inner monologues.
A lot of inner monologues.
Inner
voice or whatever it's called, and they're whispering
exposition
the whole time.
dumps. They're just constantly telling you what's going on because no one fucking knows. And I think it's partly for the audience and partly for the actors.
Yeah, because they don't know what the fuck's going on either.
Not at all. So it's a very interesting movie. But there's not a lot of audience that loves this movie because you don't get Dune fans that love this movie. No. You don't get sci-fi fans that love this movie because there's no fucking action. It's mostly a political drama. Mm-hmm. But a lot they changed. They changed the age of Paul Atreides. He's much older in this version.
Yes, he is.
Like 20s to 30 probably. Normally he's a kid. They add guns. There's no guns in Dune ever.
No, I know that was the wild thing too. And then like when they used the special effects, there were some scenes where they would go like this, nothing would come out of the gun, and then nothing would happen to the guys, and they'd go, oh. And I'm like, what the fuck? You didn't even add the special effects in post.
They could afford it.
Yeah, we ran out of budget money, dude.
We did it on the shields. All the money went to the shields. $80 million just to produce that 20 seconds of shield play. Yeah, that's why a lot of people don't. I mean, you don't have to be a huge Dune fan, but in Dune, there's no guns because of the shields. Guns are obsolete. I mean, you get little like dart guns, but that's it. Because if you shoot a gun at someone with a shield, you'll blow up. The energy will be. So it's like whoever. I know David Lynch is a Dune fan, but whoever wrote this film had almost no clue what Dune was at all. I mean, absolute zero idea. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. The best part about Dune is everything is like swords and hand-to-hand combat. Why do you have the shields?
No idea. That's what didn't make any sense. And then in the one scene specifically, the guy shoots the gun, and the shields are supposed to, and they explain this in the books, they explain this in the movies, but the shield, if it's fast acting, it's going to deflect, right? But if it's slow, then you can penetrate. And you see that with Gurney and Paul when they're doing the fights back and forth, and they've got the knives, right? And he goes, well, I got you, and we'll die together, which held true in both films. But then, out of fucking nowhere, this guy shoots a rifle, and the bullet, it's a fast acting, right? So it should deflect off, and it goes, and then it goes, zzz, and then hits the guy right in the head, and I'm like,
why did Paul Atreides spend most of his life practicing swords
just to get shot at?
When he's going to get a gun in this movie and not be shooting everyone.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, that's why I think it's almost like a parody of Dune. Mm-hmm. It's like there's so little connection to it, but all the pieces are there still. They're just not doing any of the shit that they do in the actual books or anything. Like Paul Atreides is still there, Harkonnen is still there, but they're not acting right.
No.
Gurney, we got to talk about that, played by Sir Patrick Stewart.
Sir Patrick Stewart
Professor X himself.
Very nice to see a nice and young Patrick Stewart. That was interesting.
He looks the same fucking everywhere you go, but... Yeah, I guess according to him, he had no fucking clue what was going on.
No.
He had no idea who Sting was.
He talked about Dune on, because one of the actors that we were working with, he talked about Dune. And he was, it was interesting. I want to give too much out, but yeah, no, he, because,
I think everyone hated it. And it would have been weird for him because he's right about to go to Star Trek Next Generation as well. So it's like...
And that's what I ask him about, of course. I said, I know, I'm sorry, you get this a million times, but...
Yeah,
how was it?
Much more successful role for him.
And I didn't have to pay $200 to go get 2 minutes with him either, so...
Yeah, that's
at one of
nice
those conventions.
For him to just tell you to fuck off. No, I hear he's a very sweet man.
No, he's awesome. Yeah. He's a really nice person.
Yeah, everyone fucking loves him. Yeah. But, he plays Gurney in this, and I don't want to go... He does a good job, but I in my mind, Gurney is Josh Brolin at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
Gurney in this, he's just a little too proper, a little too nice and fancy, and
when there was no the same relationship, and I don't want to jump into the new film too much or the book, but the relationship seemed different than what it was in the book, and not only that, but also in the new Dune as well.
Yeah. All the relationship seems fucking weird in this movie because the dialogue is awful.
Yes.
It is so cheesy at times. It's so fucking cheesy. Almost cringy at some point. Yeah. So all the relationships are like, what the fuck is... It just seems off.
Well, and some of the acting, too, at certain times, I was like, okay.
Yeah, no.
Like, they're, like, crying. Like, the girl was crying, but she wasn't. You could clearly tell she was just going,
too, yeah.
And then they, like, had a little single droplet of tear on her, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
She is not crying.
A lot of... I will keep going back to the book, because they show the Emperor in this one. They never show...
They don't show it in the...
He's in it a ton.
Yeah.
He's, like, fucking third build in this one. I like it a lot more when you never see the Emperor and just assume he's this like godlike power.
Well, they didn't show it in the new one at all.
No, thank God.
Yeah.
This guy who runs the universe was kind of just like, I don't know, a bumbling idiot at times. Yeah. At points, he's even like working the guns and stuff. Like I can't imagine the
Emperor on the, and that thing was so corny too. That spinning thing that they were on, and then you look through the thing, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah, it's again, it's so weird because they cram so much into one it would be like the equivalent of cramming Lord of the Rings, all of them into one book.
Well, that's the thing with this new one. I mean, it was almost 3 hours, and we didn't even get Paul on Arrakis. I mean, we did get him on Arrakis, but that's where it ended.
That's what I said about the new one, too. It was like, that was 2 hours and 40 minutes. I could have used another 30 minutes for even more character development. Because even then, it seemed cut down. Now go to this one, that's 2 hours and 17 minutes. It's so fucking cut down. Everything is cut down. Yeah. You don't get enough time with any fucking character. And they have a lot of characters in this one.
Yes.
Introducing everyone. But Sting definitely steals the show for me.
Oh, yeah, in this one. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
For some reason, I was going back to 21. I was going to talk about Duncan and all that.
We'll do that hold it. Yeah. But Sting, I don't know what they told Sting, but he got ripped for this.
He did get ripped, and then he came out in that underwear thing.
The cod piece.
What was his character's name? Freeman or something like that? I forget.
No, well, the Freemen are the
people Arrakis people. Yeah, but what is his name?
He's playing the same role as.
It's Fade. That's his name, Fade.
Yeah, he's playing the same role as Drax
so I was close.
In the new one.
Yeah.
Drax. Dave Bautista. Yeah, they both, Sting and Dave Bautista, play the same role. And that's the nephew of Lord Harkonnen, yeah.
But Sting was hardly in that film at all.
Oh my God, I know.
At all.
The best part of the movie, and you're like, it's like the Boba Fett equivalent. You wanted more Sting, and it was just that one scene.
We got to talk about that knife scene at the end. So unbelievably fucking corny. So corny. It was like,
Oh my God.
And I was like, what? Could this be any more telegraphed, any more corny?
That's what it's, David Lynch, he doesn't do, he never does sci-fi. He does Twin Peaks. He does like these cerebral, really weird, character-driven TV shows and movies.
Elephant Man, which
is fucking amazing. Yeah.
That was actually before this, wasn't it?
Elephant Man is David Lynch's first film. Yeah. With Anthony Hopkins. Came out hot. But yeah, he's always done these really weird, like, think piece, and compared to this is just not his forte. Like, it's not, and fight choreography is not his forte.
No. Should have outsourced that. Should have hired someone else to figure out that choreography.
Clearly, it's just not his fucking thing.
That was rough.
We got to talk about the score, which is done by Toto. The tear, fucking weird. It's just the most 80s thing you can possibly do. Yeah.
Definitely is.
And I can only imagine the amount of cocaine on this set with Sting there.
Everyone was doing coke.
All right, let's fucking do it.
It's like, I'm naked. We're like, no, we need a piece there. Actually, just grab it from the prop department.
Actually, the scene doesn't call for you being unclothed at all, Sting. You're fully clothed in this.
You are. He's like, well, I'm fucking sweaty, dude.
Let's get so fucking hot in here. He's just burning up. He's just having severe withdrawals. Yeah. But, yeah, there's some weirdness in it for sure. They show the Spacing Guild also a lot more. Those are those alien guys that come up. You know, he's the big alien guy.
The big one that's talking in the beginning to the Emperor.
He is. Yeah. He's part of the Spacing Guild. That's what happens because they use so much spice, it completely mutates them, and they usually never show it. But
they showed it here.
David Lynch said, if you're not showing it, I'm gonna fucking show it.
Yeah, that thing was weird.
It's a great special effects.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, because it looks very fucking odd, but it's not part of the book or the story or any part, and it's giving the Spacing Guild a much larger role
than need be.
They were controlling everything.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I first started watching the film, I was like, is this supposed to be like the Emperor's like right-hand man? What the fuck is this thing? Because I wasn't familiar with it.
No.
And then
they are
kind of just found out now it's a Spacing Guild. Yeah.
They are a completely separate entity. The Spacing Guild is like more powerful than the Emperor because they're the only people that know how to space travel. No one else knows that. But I don't get why they're controlled. They usually like on all that, they don't have any like say or what goes on politically. But in this movie,
they do.
They're fucking pulling the strings.
Well, and they're the ones who say that they want Paul dead.
Yeah, which is not. It's the Bene Gesserit. It's the witches that control everything in the book and in the new movie. It's not the Spacing Guild and this weird ass fucking alien in a tube. It's the Bene Gesserits. You know, his mom and the witches. But I don't know. Again, you see the changes, especially from seeing the new one and the old one, and you're like, well, why did they make that change? Yeah. It doesn't seem to add to the movie. It doesn't seem to cut down time.
Something that's, and maybe this just goes to how good the book is, but like in the very beginning, like it more so the new one than this one, but the way they described it in the book with the hand scene with the Bene Gesserit, the leader of the Bene Gesserits, the
Gum
witch.
Jabbar.
Gum Jabbar, yes, thank you. You are a buff when it comes to Dune, much more than I am.
Well, I just know those, and because all the names are so nonsensical. Yeah, they're made up words. So
they Adib or whatever.
Exactly, they really fucking stick with you. At least they do for me because the Gum Jabbar. It's a great name. It's a great word. I don't know how you do it, but that's. Yeah, exactly.
But that hand scene is really good because that's exactly how I pictured it. Like when I was listening to the audiobook, like you can kind of picture the room that they're in, the lighting and stuff. And they did a really good job with that, I thought.
Yeah, I think that's one scene that looks good in both films.
Yeah. Well, and I actually liked it in the original because and I know it is kind of 1980s, kind of tropey, but I did appreciate it for the time with which the film was made, where you see the hand and you see the flesh start to melt off, and the Bene Gesserit's saying, you know, hey, your skin is melting off your hand. Do not pull out, you know. But I like that scene a lot, and I like you know the mist of the fire, like as if it was burning the flesh.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. It's just not very. Again, it's not like what happens like in the book or anything. Nothing's supposed to happen to your hand.
No, it's just pain receptors.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, it's just supposed to make you feel the worst fucking pain possible.
But I felt it was more of a visual for the audience. Because when he pulls his hand out and she says it's pain receptors, that kind of got you to understand the type of pain that he was dealing with. Right. As if flesh was melting from the bone, you know?
Yeah.
Which is pretty brutal.
The effect was really good.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was really cool, yeah. yeah, the gum jabbar, that's a cool thing in the books and in all the movies. It's one thing you almost can't fuck up.
Yeah.
It's just a little tiny pain box. And the whole reasoning of why they do it is so fucking cool to show that you are pure human and not an animal. An animal would not
Gnaw his own paw off.
or just react on emotion and just yank that thing out of there. Yeah. So they have to make sure you're not beast. It's really weird because you got to remember it's the year 10,191 or whatever.
Yeah.
It is our, technically it's supposed to be our world. It's not like another dimension or anything, but they're just so fucking advanced.
At this point. Yeah, well, I mean, it's another 8,000 years in the future.
No computers though.
Hopefully I'll still be around.
I'm hoping. Fingers crossed,
yeah.
brother. Fingers crossed I get trapped in an iceberg.
Here's a genuine question. Regardless of gender, is Timothée Chalamet the skinniest actor in Hollywood at this point?
He weighs 92 pounds.
Soaking wet.
But I think he's perfect casting for Paul Atreides.
No, he definitely
looks
is.
He looks 15.
In all seriousness,
I don't know how old he is, but he looks 15.
I think he's about our age, actually. I think he's like 26,
he
27.
looks very fucking young.
But in all seriousness, he's a phenomenal actor. I love everything that he's in.
Yeah.
Even his independent films, he crushes. But I did note it in the new one. I was like, God damn, that kid is tiny.
He's fucking tiny. Oh yeah.
He must wear like 24-inch shorts, dude. I don't know, extra small.
Which is
crazy.
It's perfect because that's how they describe him in the book. Is that he's like this most non-expecting person ever. You wouldn't expect him to be a total fucking badass because he's practically Neo. I mean, he's the one. I mean, he is. But that's why I love too, and that's why it's so different in the 1984 Lynch because he's a grown man in this one. You know, he's not a kid. People would see him and they wouldn't go, well, that guy probably can't fight because he looks like a grown ass man.
Yeah.
When you see Timothée Chalamet, even if you saw him in real life, you'd be like, fuck,
that's still a kid.
I could judo chop that guy in half like a board.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
Wouldn't take much.
No, it would not take much, but turns out a badass.
Kyle MacLachlan is the actor who plays Paul in the original.
Yeah, and he's
a pretty good actor, but
not
rough.
Yeah, this is his first role. He does not.
It is his first role.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because him and David Lynch, they go on to do Twin Peaks. They do a bunch of stuff after this. They're frequently collaborators, but yeah, this is his very first role.
Wow.
I know. It's a lot of pressure.
That's too much pressure. I would not like that for the first role ever. Like no set experience, no nothing, and now you're the lead character
Dune.
on Dune. Yeah,
it's practically a Star Wars for much more serious guys. But
bastard.
Yeah, and this was David Lynch's third movie coming off Elephant Man too. Jeez. So he did because Elephant Man won an Oscar, so I'm sure he was able to do any film he wanted to do, and this is what he probably chose.
He also played Ray Manzarek in The Doors.
Oh yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Which. I love that film.
He's a decent actor. He's all right.
Ray Manzarek was such a good fucking pianist.
He's also in Flintstones.
Yes,
remember that?
He
plays Cliff Vandercave.
I remember being on vacation and I watched that movie every single night.
That's why whenever I see him, I immediately feel like in my mind he's always a bad guy because he plays Cliff Vandercave. So I always think he's an asshole whenever I see him.
Bro, I would love to go back and just watch that. It's been so many years since I've seen it. Yeah, I know. It's probably horrible.
It's Halle Berry in the first one, isn't it?
Is it?
Playing her assistant? I'm pretty fucking sure. Trust me. I would have remembered that as a kid. I would have taken
I will take that.
I'm almost positive it's Halle Berry, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, have you ever seen Dune 1984 before this, Mason?
No. This is absolutely my first time seeing 1984 Dune. And what a trip. What a trip it was. You know, I understand all the points that you're making, and I agree with them. But I did enjoy, I don't know, the aspect of because I have not seen a lot of sci-fi films outside of like Star Wars and Star Trek in back in the 80s. And I felt that they tried with certain elements of this film. You know, I talked about it, but like the worm and stuff I enjoyed. But then other aspects, I'm like, eesh, this film might have been ahead of its time when you talk about the shields and all that kind of stuff. And then you add guns into the mix, and you're like, come on. Why?
Yeah, I think there is a way you could have done it in 1984.
You think so?
Absolutely, yeah. Of course you can. I mean, they did Star Wars, and if you know, in that 79, I'm sure if you if someone or you read the script to Star Wars, you would think there's no fucking way in 1979 you're gonna make this fucking movie. The entire thing is in space. It's gonna be fucking go.
And like lightsabers and stuff like that.
But I mean, 2001 Space Odyssey came out, and way before that, those effects were fucking incredible. There's ways to do it, but they're very expensive and they're very, very time consuming. And with this movie, you can tell it had a lot of fucking hands in the pot.
Yeah.
Because this was such a huge title. They really thought that this was going to match up with Star Wars. That I'm sure there was a lot of fucking board members and VPs telling David Lynch. Because he won't even talk about the production. It scarred him so bad.
Yeah.
So I'm sure had they really let him take the reins, it would have been a much weirder movie. But it would have been much... The vision would have been there. There feels like... When I'm watching this, it feels like it's visionless. Like it's going nowhere.
Well, let's talk about this, too. The budget for this was between $40 and $42 million, and at the box office made $30.9 to $37 million, so it didn't even make its money back.
And 40, exactly, there would have been I know for a fact there would have been so much pressure on him from all the execs. $42 million in 1984 is
like $200 million now.
It's a monster fucking budget.
Especially, yeah.
And for this...
Especially for your second or third film.
Yeah, the small-time director his first film was a super small indie film, and then Elephant Man was a super small film. To give him this giant fucking... And then to tell him you have to do it in one movie, it's fucking impossible. Yeah. It's like climbing Everest. It's... I wish David Lynch could get another chance almost and do what he really wanted to do, but I'm sure he's completely burnt out on Dune. I know he probably ruined the books for him and everything. But yeah, it's just... Luckily, it took us 40 years, but we ended up getting a
really awesome dude.
A really awesome dude. And maybe that Dune would have not been made had this one been made. So you never know. But it's not the best movie. Come on, guy.
But hey, it is what it is. You got to watch it. You got to experience it at least one time.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I don't know. It's almost funny. You could probably drink and get a big group together and just shit on this movie for 2 hours and 17 minutes for a long.
Still not as bad as Mortal Kombat 2, though. That shit was atrocious.
I love the scene in this one when they're all riding the worms. It's like 40
I know.
of them.
Yeah, I know.
So many.
And the green screen is so apparent in the background.
Oh, my God. Absolutely. Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a fun time. Yeah. They saddle it, and it's just like a giant worm, and they're just
How does it work? Like, how do you even stand on it? There'd be so much movement.
So much movement, especially a giant worm like that.
But they do it.
They do.
They do it.
They pulled it. They pulled it off somehow. They rode that.
It was like a school bus. It was so many fucking people on that worm. All right. That's all I got for Dune 1984.
All right. Well, that is our review for Dune 1984. If you guys like what you're seeing here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krause. And until next time.
Bye.